Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Yep, you're either a cat person or a dog person.
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Yes, are you a cat person or a dog person? That tired old trope in a way, but remains true, doesn't it? I think very few well, actually, there are one or two people, aren't there? What's going on here with my backdrop? Mrs. M. You can always tell when Mrs. M has been in the studio, being all ethereal. Yes, I think people do, roughly speaking, divide themselves between cats and dog lovers, don't they? And the rare exception, that's better. Oh, I felt naked for a moment. Yes, there are those rare exceptions, aren't there, who love cats and dogs. What are you this morning? Good morning, Munson here with Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast with an extra emphasis on the podcast. Did anyone notice that I am now releasing the occasional podcast recording via the YouTube channel, which threw Darren yesterday, I have to say. Isn't there meant to be some video on here? Well, I don't know exactly what YouTube are up to. But they do have this facility now on their playlisting where you can enable a podcast. So I don't know if they're moving into that, muscling into the territory that Spotify enjoy and all the other usual platforms like Apple and Google Podcasts and many others as well, actually, where I occasionally find myself while searching for the Good Morning Portugal podcast. There are many. If you're a podcast listener from time to time, what's your preferred platform? And is there any feedback you've got for me regarding the podcast? We have done some extras and some bonuses for those people who just like to have it done to them in their ears. Good morning to you, Andy Klein, Darren. The aforementioned Francis is here already. And the three wise men of the Gumpocalypse have been gathering, although only just, I think. No, yes, James is here. I've had two little remarks this morning via WhatsApp that the show could not be found. Looks like everyone's here now, however. I think it's when I publish multiple shows in advance. I knew that was a bad idea, but it needed to be done because we do have some interesting extra items in the bagging area, so to speak, this week. Tonight, we've got the Start a Business Invest in Portugal special tonight at 9 before the Portugal Club at 10. I hope you can join us for that. And I do want to stay on the air. Oh, I can't, can I? Because it will run into the Portugal Club. Maybe Raquel will come and talk to the Portugal Club tonight about the wonderful property she's selling. This is over to the east of Lisbon, go further inland from the area that we've got to know just recently, Sejal, thanks to Bobby O'Reilly, and south of the river in Lisbon, and then head east. And you will find the territory as the space opens up, and you've experienced the wide open spaces east or southeast of the capital. There's a place called Carush where Raquel has a farmhouse that is up for sale at the moment. It's a beautiful place if you want to come to Portugal and have a bit of an off-grid existence. It is quite the place with so much potential for doing so. Maybe we can talk to her tonight more about that. But we will certainly be talking to her about starting a business here in Portugal alongside Steve White, who has a number of options. While some are feeling unconfident and not certain about the future of the global economy and the Portuguese economy, he's not messing about at all. He's getting straight in there with a few ideas for investing. So join us at 9 for that. Yeah, so sorry if you couldn't find the show this morning. Perhaps there are a few stragglers making their way into the back of the room right now. Yes, good afternoon, as some Saki teachers used to say back in the day. That could be quite an interesting little bit of an aside this morning. What are some of the things that your teachers used to say to you that you remember to this day. One phrase that my geography teacher and form teacher, Mr. Britton, used to say was very occasionally, if the class was getting a little bit rowdy, and in my day at school, rowdy meant that somebody actually spoke when they weren't meant to, not when, not the whole room in uproar. And people carrying guns and knives and stuff like that. No, when more than one person spoke, the one person being the teacher, that was seen as rowdiness. And Mr. Britton, who I suspect is no longer with us, would shout, "Shut up, fathead." Would you get away with that now as a teacher? "Shut up, fathead." What did your teachers say to you, as well as throwing board rubbers at you at great speed and so on? Oh, American viewers and listeners, thinking to themselves, why were British teachers throwing board rubbers at children? That sounds disgusting. I can explain, but not just yet. Coach Turner's in. Bon dia todos, and welcome to Tuesday. Dry, mild, and overcast here in Hertfordshire. Sounds like a cocktail, doesn't it? Give me a dry, mild, overcast, if you will, barman. Pour me another. Here in Hertfordshire, so perfect for wandering into the village for coffee. Sounds beautiful. Training and coaching this afternoon should be fun. Not for the first time today. The training and coaching begins here with the Gumpers and the God Squad, growing old disgracefully, of course, in case you're new to this community. Yeah, the God Squad, whilst that we are evangelical on many fronts here, we are especially so when it comes to remaining fit into older age as we age, and a bit of gentle fitness for bon viveurs here. Here's today's tip from Coach Turner. And he pushed me water over there. 2-leg squats are really good strength exercises. So 1-leg squats are twice as good, right? Well, no. But they do have their place. Stand next to a handrail. Make sure a paramedic is standing by, or use the back of a chair. Holding on for balance. Lift one foot off the floor or the ground and slowly lower the hips as far as you feel comfortable. Then push a little faster back up. If you tuned in halfway through that, I can understand why you might be getting a little excited. Again, be still my beating heart. Again, cardio, a bit of a cardio build-up is good for you, of course. Then push a little bit faster back up. Again, build up to 10 times on each leg, and then to 3 sets. This exercise not only strengthens the quad muscles, but also those that stabilize the knee and help balance. Yeah, that's what seems to me on my body to be needing the most attention at the moment, is the knees. So good to have that. And I think quite good as well. Would you agree, Coach Turner? Rather than thinking, oh, my knees are a bit squeaky, I must do something for my knees. Maybe think bigger picture than that. Think about the muscle groups around the knee as well, rather than just focusing on the knee and its possible shortcomings as you might perceive them. Remember to give your knees love and every part of your body. I think part of the problem with aging is people become very critical of their bodies, don't they, with the aging thing, and just like, oh, there's this and there's that. How about a bit of gratitude as well? Thank you for getting me this far, knees. What can I do for you now? Might be a slightly different approach as well. Give them a nice rub. I was talking about rubbing alcohol over the weekend. Seems a waste. Bon dia, Gumpers from TDUC as well, with deep thoughts, Portuguese sayings. I've got some Portuguese statistics which are quite shocking to add into this little bit of the show this morning. Coming up at 9, we'll have some Tony time. Tony's been all over Europe just recently. Be interesting to talk to him about his travels. And then we're staying in the north. We've got João de Norte, who I was with over the weekend. And he's going to be talking about a bit of hiking action as well. He was the interviewee on the podcast I was talking about a little bit earlier on. If you want to learn more about the climate of northern Portugal, which we'll talk about more with Tony and John this morning, I think there's a bit of myth busting to deal with the. It is cooler in the north in all sorts of ways, and of course it's cooler temperature-wise and weather-wise than the south and central. But it's not cold, I don't think. Well, it can be, but then again, everywhere else in Portugal can be the cold country with the hot sun, remember. Marty's here as well today. That's fantastic. Tabitha Lindebaum, did I get that right today? Is here as well as FU, the Facebook user. And knee love sounds a little tricky and brings a new meaning to knobbly knees. Well, yes, whatever it takes though, AP. I'm not sure I can read out all of your comments this morning. Excellent job last night, Peter. introducing this household to Moscatel. We didn't get the one you specified, but I think we were pretty close, right? And I think you approved of this Alhambra Moscatel de Setúbal, which is a DOC. What a great drink that is. We were talking about the comparisons to Martini and some possibilities of making a spritzer with it. Another great drink emanating from Portugal, Moscatel. You can see our Good Morning Portugal Wine Club show last night, led by Pete and Diane. Great job last night. Thank you very much. But I'm not sure I can read all of your comments without causing offense. Not that I always am that concerned about that, but there's a thin line. Is there not? But here we are among the grumpy and naughty men of a certain age here. On the one hand, I was sent a link to Ancient Mariner's new blog, a quick rant about utter morons. And I sent a message back to him. Sounds a tad judgmental, Ancient Mariner. Oh, yes, indeed you do. It is. And that's the grumpy old geezer kind of vibe, I think there, isn't it? Ranting through a blog. And Pete with his naughty comments here, which you can enjoy for yourself or be offended by without me necessarily reading them out. How about that? So yes, Tony time at 9, João de Norte at 9:30. Then at 10, the great Garvo, who was drinking with us last night on the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, is here with something to soothe your soul. Sorry, I think you caught my cough there as I sprinkled gumper dust all over us. But it's that kind of vibe. He's not getting in touch with his feminine side. He's getting in touch with his spiritual side and ours, if we allow it, at around 10. He might be getting in touch with his feminine side. I actually don't know a lot about what he's suggesting. He's been quite ethereal in its depiction and his description of what he wants to share with us at 10. But I'm open to it. I trust that man completely. And at 10 o'clock, he'll be here to share with us a little modality for the Iberian FM phone-in that I think it's something along the lines of how it will nourish your mind, body, and soul. Without having to get naked and hug a tree. But that may happen, so stay tuned for that. So back to, actually, no, let's do a few more name checks before we come back to the deep thoughts, the Portuguese sayings, and the Quem Sabias, the Who Knew today, which looks great. It's about the CPLP and more Portuguese factoid information for you. Who else is in this one? We've got James, got T-Duck Francis in South Africa, Cookie Koyo with a meow, a cat person, I think, Andy Klein checking in, all good in Aveiro, and he's girding his loins for launching the how to make decent videos with your phone on the GMP VIP platform as well. So thank you very much for that. Oh, and to the new Portugal Club members as well, just recently, and thanks to everyone who's been signing up and investing in the Good Morning Portugal endeavor. We thank you to everybody who in some way contributes their time, talent, or treasure to this endeavor. And it is community created in every sense of that phrase, whether that be financially, spiritually. Yeah, on mind, body, and spirit levels, it is a community endeavor. We're not funded directly by the Portuguese government. Not yet, anyway. And maybe I'd have to resist that. Because who pays the piper calls the tune, right? We need to maintain our independence across a broad base. And who doesn't like a broad base first thing in the morning? Chris is here as well, who I know likes a smutty innuendo. That was especially for you, that one, Chris. Oh, and the Big Dongs of Ponte De Lima has been, we've had a nomination for Best Video of the Year for that. Thank you very much, Global Nobles. I think like that went up yesterday. It was Ponte De Lima video part 2. And yes, lovely. Thank you very much for that. What's that? Nominating for video title? Oh, video title of the year. Enjoying the Big Dongs of Ponte De Lima. It's a true story. Bon camino! I can be heard saying during that as well. Oh, so not the video, just the title there. Well, in the haze of waking up and reading that comment this morning, I thought it was for the video. It's only for the smutty title. But actually, yes, I'm sure I could win a few awards on that basis there. Another day. Oh, Darren, come on. We need to cheer Darren up, don't we? Another 100 calls to Seth, and it's engaged tone. I'm so sorry to hear that. Deagle's in as well this morning. Paul Harrison. Hey, Paul, how are you? It's been a while since my last confession. Yes, we are not judgmental. Well, we are, but we're not in front of it. Not into your face. Anyway, I mean, that must go on for priests, mustn't it? You're not meant to be judgmental. You're meant to be compassionate and caring. And I'm sure most priests are. And in their human mind, they must be thinking, what a mess. honestly. But a few Hail Marys can sort that out. I don't know what the Gumper equivalent is of a few Hail Marys. Yes, it's been a while since your last appearance, let alone your confession here, Paul. But no judgment. You're welcome like a prodigal son, to mix up my religious metaphors this morning. Bon dia from the Guimarães zone. Good morning, Marty. How's it all going? When can we get you on the show and chat to you about your new life here in Portugal? And Douglas, how are you this morning, Douglas? Bored stiff this morning, and not in a good way, and being pulled about by nurses. Again, not in a good way, I suspect. João Norte is also in. Let us know, Dougie. We're with you, mate. Not constantly, but certainly in the morning. I hope you see this as a place where you can check in and have your spirits lifted by being with us in the mornings, Doug. I'm so sorry to hear about your predicament, but we'll do all we can to cheer you up, my friend. Bon dia alegria from João Norte, who you'll see at 9:30. Let's have a gumping good time today. Yes, indeed. And Pete did enjoy the wine club last night. Thank you. We really enjoyed the wine club last night. Well, you made it what it was last night. Jim's also in. Hey, Jim, how you doing? And we'll come back hold on a minute. We'll come back to more shout outs. And suffice to say, just for now, Antonio D'Andrade Rosa, chartered. What is a chartered MCS? I forgive my abbreviatory ignorance there. Do you have, is there such a word as abbreviatory? There is now. Do you have listeners from Amarant? Occasionally, and it sounds like we do today, Antonio. Good morning to you. Muito prazer. And Sarah Taylor, good morning to you. Bon dia to you, Sarah. Oh, regarding cat versus dog, we're coming back to that distinction of people and that very divisive question. Old Bruce has been causing trouble again on the Portugal Living thread with his so-called divisive questions. Facebook, what do you expect? Dear old Bruce. And he's just trying to help people. And then it all seems to go a little bit to custard when people get eggy. Yes, eggy, custard. See what I did there? Didn't mean to. Okay. And let's see then what's going on here with the wonderful submissions of T-Duck today. Deep thought then, we'll start with that. People tend to forget their duties, but remember their rights, said Indira Gandhi. Yes, so true. And some people see that as a speciality of the times we're living in, perhaps. Is that true? Are things any worse, or are they just better known? I often wonder about that. Because there are some extremely positive people who will report to you that, the world, despite its troubles, has never been actually more peaceful than it is right now. Yes, and did people always forget their duties but remember their rights? And is it especially so because it's being reported so much? And one thing leads to another, doesn't it? The more upset you get by things on social media, perhaps the more you look for them to be upset by them. And if you are generating a lot of your energy at the moment, public service announcement, if you are generating a lot of your energy and interest in life by getting upset about what you're looking at on the internet, need I say more? Maybe I do, but that's more of an Iberian FM thing, isn't it? But not today. Gavo is going to join us and soothe the soul, not inflame it. A Portuguese saying of the day, devagar que tenho pressa. Slow down, I'm in a hurry. Oh, yes, that's like a more, what is that? More haste, less speed, more haste. What's the English language version of that? I can't remember which way around the haste and the speed go. But yeah, don't be hasty. Just be more careful and speed up a bit without becoming hasty. Perhaps that's the same here. Devagar, which is a great word to know. If you want people to slow down when they're speaking their Portuguese to you at a great pace, devagar, faz favor, really helps. Que tenho pressa, slow down, I'm in a hurry. Any other interpretations of that? Most welcome this morning. The Quem Sabia then, the Hugununu, the Who Knew, the Portuguese Factoid, the Community of Portuguese Language Countries, the CPLP, also known as the Lusophone Commonwealth, is an international organization. It is a political association of Lusophone nations across 4 continents. I didn't know what Lusophone meant until I came to live here in Portugal. It sounds like a mobile phone brand in a way, doesn't it? Or a carrier. It's a political association then of Lusophone nations across 4 continents where Portuguese is an official language. Look at that, Portuguese spoken across 4 continents. It operates as a privileged multilateral forum for the mutual cooperation of the governments, economies, non-governmental organizations, and peoples of Lusophonia. And I do like, it's a bit like Iberia, isn't it? Although this one is political, it is not, strictly speaking, geographical in terms of land masses. It's more of a, well, connection through the Portuguese spirit and past, the history. And yeah, there they are, the CPLP, consisting of 9 member states and 32 associate observers, located in Europe, South America, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. 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 I've often thought that was Oceania. Have I been saying that wrong all my life? So Oceania, totaling 37 countries and 4 organizations. It was founded in 1996 by Angola, Brazil, Cabo Verde, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, Portugal, and São Tomé and Príncipe, nearly 2 decades after the beginning of the decolonization of the Portuguese Empire. So empirical roots there. Thank you very much for that factoid, the CPLP, ladies and gentlemen, and that will be banked into the ever-growing resources of the GMP VIP platform. That's quite the collection you're creating there, T-Duck. And it is my delight to collate these factoids into there to help people understand the new country. Okay, dad jokes. I'm quite liking this, doing one of them and then maybe another one later and then a final dad joke. So, oh, there's a bonus item here. My friend claims he glued himself to his autobiography. I didn't believe him, but that's his story and he's sticking to it. Oh, I meant to do this one, but actually, more high caliber dad jokes. Great run of high caliber, high quality dad jokes. Have we got a visual as I'm about to read James's banana slugs comment this morning? Oh yeah, he sent this in. Naughty. Grammar then. Well, I guess while we're on Portuguese sayings and doing a little bit of Portuguese, we could perhaps elaborate. Well, no, maybe no elaboration is needed, but here's some English grammar and perhaps why English is so difficult for people to learn as well. The difference, well, certainly English grammar, the difference between feeling your nuts and feeling your nuts, which you really need to see on the screen. And at that point, I had something in my throat. Thank you, James, for that. Okay, I'm thinking I need a little sip of water this morning. But good morning to you, and good morning to you, Bom dia, Campos, says James. Feliz terça, todos. Como va, todos? How's it all going? Thank you, Peter, for your first contribution this morning. Matty's expense. Bom dia, Gria. Feliz semana novo. Well, for me, it's new. Hope you're all doing well. Of course, yeah, you're joining us on the Tuesday. So it's actually would it be your segunda or your primero dia for you? Of course, Monday being the second day of the week here in Portugal. Good luck then, Darren, with your many calls to Seth today. I hope you get through to them. And Andy, Coco, how you doing? YouTube have taken on a music platform. Oh, but realized most videos like your show can be consumed in either video or audio. So they're preparing to put podcasts onto their music platform. Okay. Because it did seem a little bit weird that, YouTube is essentially a viewing platform, isn't it? So it did seem weird. And it threw Darren yesterday, didn't it? That I published something without moving pictures. What I did was I made the audio and then put a really long, slow zoom tile picture with it. So it must have been disappointing to anybody who did want to see some moving pictures. But there you go. There's the backstory. YouTube are moving into the music, and they're moving into Spotify territory, aren't they? So some big guns at it there. Then battle of the audio-visual titans perhaps coming up. Bon dia then from Chris. Don't think I'll be here for the duration, but I did want to say hola to you. Great to see you here, Chris. Always lovely. If people can't stay the whole show, it doesn't matter. Nice if you can. Nice if you can just say hello of a morning. Gemini Bradshaw, someone else who we haven't seen like Paul for a little while. How are you doing, Gemini? And hate it when people say good afternoon when I'm late. Has that happened? Does that happen to you? Is that a bit of a thing, Darren? Do they have a need to do that? I wonder. Do we have anything else? Oh, I have to sit in a few classes. Yes, as a teacher, I'm going to take a risk and read this one in just a moment. Deagle's in. Bon dia, Carl and Campus from a dry, nice 8-degree Belfast. Should hit 12 degrees soon in Belfast. Soon we'll be basking in mid-high teens daily. And we dream of our 5 days of the year is that in the 20s. Amazing, isn't it? So I had to sit in a few classes and saw a brilliant put down. There's this teacher to a pupil. A girl put up her hand and said, "Miss, I have a headache. Can I be excused?" She replied, "I wish your mother had had one." Ow! We want our children growing up with strong self-esteem, not a crushing blow like that could affect the rest of their lives. Teachers, these young minds and hearts are in your hands. Be kind. Don't be like Mr. Britain. Shut up, fathead. In Belfast, we got our hair pulled up by the locks. Ouch, hence the phrase being pulled up by the locks, perhaps. And you were stretched onto the tiptoes, then quickly slapped on the back of the head. Hard schooling in the late 70s, early 80s. My goodness, that's awful. And only about 3 people. Oh, yeah, it's a bit like pantomime, isn't it? Sometimes in a class where the teacher says something, mainly for their own amusement, really. And yeah, the occasional child who's awake during class gets the joke as well, or the teaching assistant. Maybe it's just a to and fro between the teacher and the teaching assistant. Didn't have any of those in my school, as I recall. What's that all about? Is that a way of just de-skilling and paying people less to school our children, perhaps? Oh, those couple of statistical things then. Portugal is, I think is it the 11th least safe country to work in the world? I'm not, forgive me in my geography here. I can't do this from the flags, but I'd certainly recognize the Portuguese flag here in the most dangerous countries to work in. And that's pretty scary stuff, isn't it? That is the case here. And also a couple of shocking stats, that one and this one. If you can, if you're thinking, oh, I need to get my glasses, what's he doing putting that on the screen so tiny? This is world statistical divorce rates. It's from World of Statistics. It was a tweet, a blue tick tweet, so it must be true. Divorce rate, India 1% at the top of the chart, if we're doing it that way. And Portugal at the bottom, 94% of people. And I did ask for a fact check among the Facebook community. Could this possibly be true? Spain, it would seem. What is it with the Iberian air and water? Spain, 85% of marriages end in divorce. And Portugal, 94%. This can't be right, can it? I mean, it's almost like, what's the point of getting married in Portugal if that's what happens here? I wonder what you think about that. I don't know what reminded me about that. Any road, thank you very much for your recollections of being back in school and the horrible things teach. I'm sorry I mentioned it now, hearing about what happened to people and bringing back traumatic memories perhaps as well. Is Garvo finally doing the nature's tree hugging walk? Sounds hot and sweaty at that time. No, it's not. It's different. And I do feel a little bit awkward every time it's mentioned. And even when I mention it myself. And he's not. He'll be fully clothed at, I hope that doesn't put anyone off, but he will be fully clothed at 10 o'clock this morning. What is the age? What's this, men of a certain age? I guess it's really the onset of Giffordom. Do you have Giffordom in the United States? Giffer, as in old Giffer? And does anyone feel like an old Giffer? Would they bestow that? I mean, Gumper is so much more comfortable than Giffer, isn't it? But you can have one foot in both of those camps, I think. So yes, Garvo will be here at 10, soothing our souls, which is not an easy thing to say either. Jim White, how are you? How's Porto this morning? And being stuck in hospital. Isn't it? Oh, so he's gladly grumpy and gumpy this morning, being stuck. So you can be giffery, grumpy, and other adjectives, I suspect, if you're a gumper. Douglas, happily grumpy in hospital. Great excuse for being so. If I get through this, stop talking like that, Doug. If I get through this, grumpy is a non-option in future. Are you saying your prayers? Dear Lord, if you save me from pain in the future, I promise I'll be good. Yes, that's one of the symptoms of man flu as well. That is, isn't it? Please, if you make me well, I'll be good every day. Poor you, Doug. So surrounded by nurses, are they more ratchet than Benny Hill? I wonder. And great to have you here, Antonio. Regarding cat versus dog people, I'm definitely a guy. I like the independence, their innate naughty cheekiness, and their genuine love of a cozy nap in the sun. Now, when people are describing themselves as cat or dog people, I think they are describing themselves as well. So are you somebody who is independent naughty, cheeky, and you have you like a little kip in the sun from time to time, João de Norte. Talking of being of the north, let's see if Antonio Barbosa is really. Give us a thumbs up if you are, Antonio, or are you still finishing your cafe con cheirinho behind the scenes there? I wonder. We're getting 2 thumbs up, not just one. Here he is. Let's bring him onto the screen. Hello, Antonio. It's Sony time, everybody. How are you, my friend?
Bom dia, alegria.
What you got there? Looks like a glass of Guinness.
It looks like it, right? It's
Yeah, it really does.
just an espresso, double shot to get me going early in the morning. No cheirinho, no cheirinho.
Saying cheirinho this morning. So great to see you, Tony. I think you've been busy, haven't you, in this last little while?
Yes, I have been. I was away in Georgia for 10 days on a trade mission, and just got back yesterday. So looking forward to getting back to the office and doing just, it seems like when you're out, you have to make up 2 weeks worth of work, just catches up. But it's a good thing. And it's sunny here. The weather's perfect. So I love it.
Wow. So tell me, Georgia, which one? Georgia in the United States or Georgia?
No, Georgia, the country. Georgia, the country. The beautiful country.
Right, sorry.
No, peaches. I get peaches from Georgia's the peach country, right? That's the peach state.
Is it? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so while Florida's got its oranges, Georgia's got its peaches. Could you tell us a bit about Georgia then? Because I forgive me, I really don't know much about Georgia, and you kind of put it on the map for me when you said you were there.
Yeah, I tell you, I felt like at home. Here's something wild and crazy. When Portugal becomes unbearable to live in, then we all move to Georgia. They have this great history, great wine culture, the people. I felt like I was at home in Portugal, really. It was that amazing. And there's a lot of work to get done in the country. Imagine Portugal was about 20 years ago. That's how the country was in getting their infrastructures, but a lot of going on and building. And it's a beautiful country. I was in the countryside. I was in the wines district, near the Caucasus Mountains, everything. And really, really outstanding. I came with the positive, and the people are so friendly. It really is. It's what a great place. I'm so happy to go there. But I went there also with the meeting up with friends, and even with our president, the National Association of Realtors president, Kenny Purcell, was there, and a few of the global ambassadors and everything. So it was a big event for the real estate with the Georgian National Association of Real Estate. That's why I participated. For me, work in real estate, work and traveling is the same.
Yeah, clearly. Georgia, a country at the intersection of Europe and Asia, a former Soviet republic that's home to the Caucasus Mountain villages, as you said, and Black Sea beaches. It's famous for Vargia, a sprawling cave monastery dating to the 12th century, and the ancient wine-growing region, Kakheti. The capital, Tbilisi, is known for the diverse architecture and mosaic cobblestone streets of its old town. So presumably you took that in while you were there.
Mm-hmm. I took it all in. Beautiful country, lots of opportunities. Definitely, we're as realtors, as brokers, we're always looking for places where to invest. Where's the future going? You always got to look ahead in the future, and it is a future because they are European by all standards, in my opinion. They are not part of the European Union yet, but they will be.
Yes,
question of time.
It is a question of time, isn't it? And I think a question of transforming our understanding of that part of Europe as well. I've said this before, Tony, that growing up in the UK and being like bang in the middle of this whole sort of EU experiment. In the UK, you think that Western Europe is Europe, and we forget, don't we, that there is such an incredible rich tradition and history over in Eastern Europe. And how interesting it becomes when it meets Asia, something I don't think we know a lot about. But from what you're saying, perhaps we will get to know more about that in the coming decades.
Yeah, without a doubt, Carl. Eastern Europe, you have countries like Serbia, Montenegro, Croatia, Georgia, all around, Moldova, all those former USSR countries, and in that region, beautiful. And you talk about where you have the Dead Sea, you have or actually the Black Sea. Right. And just lots of Georgia reminded me of it, where? Of Dominion. Literally. It's so green, riverside, mountainside. They don't have the ocean. Well, they have the Black Sea, which is pretty, it's that amazing. Really, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm missing that place. Really, I mean, I love Portugal and I love the people too. But when you feel at home, like wow, you're so far away, because they really are at the crossroads, and that's what makes it. They have millenniums, thousands of centuries of history and culture. When especially with the wine, I've always been fascinated because many people have told me the wine. I love always experimenting, getting to know and culture and people, and wines is definitely culture. And when you
Yes.
have a wine processing or wine culture of thousands of years, it seemed like Portugal is nothing when it compares to that. It really is, And
Really?
Georgia, the word Georgia, you know what it means? Like you have geo, right? Geographic,
Yes.
etc. And Gia means agriculture, so it's the land of agriculture, and you're caught
I've
up
heard
there.
this. Yes.
Lots of agriculture. Okay, Georgia. So the word is the country is about agriculture, really is. And what's beautiful about it, I think it just reminds me of definitely of the Mino region, because you have the green. It's very green. We took a train ride from Tbilisi to the Batumi, which is on the Dead Sea on the coast, and in between you see like, man, this is like northern Portugal. I mean, without a doubt, the rivers and everything. The people are so friendly, and the food is great. I mean, everything. There's a lot of construction going on, a lot of
Is it?
development. Lots. Great, great, great place.
Very, very interesting. And you know what? I'm hoping that the development of the Europe of the future will be people led. That it will go beyond this whole sort of saber rattling thing of of the superpowers and NATO and the EU, and that there will be more people's associations and professional associations on a smaller scale that lead this, rather than the sort of horrible political shadows that seem to be cast when we're talking about East meeting West and the former Russian states and so on. How was it among the people? Were people excited about being part of a wider Europe? Did you get into those sorts of politics?
Yeah, we did actually. We met the president of the Expo Georgia, also the economy minister was there, talking to there was somebody there from the European Union that has to do with more on the real estate end,
Yeah.
linked as well. We talked about, and the people, they're very welcoming. They feel part of Europe. They really do. I mean, that's the thing. Like there was this connection between us. It really was, and between me and them. It was just so warming. Like you feel like you haven't left Europe at all. That's how really you felt.
That's so good to hear.
And that Eastern, as you rightfully said, the Eastern European countries, they are the future of Europe, and it's a question of timing because when you talk about Romania, the Bulgarias, etc., all these countries are developing, right? They're growing, and so there's lots of opportunities there. And we as professionals always got to look out for where's the future, where's the investments, where the infrastructures are going to grow. They are like, maybe I say it, about 15, 20 years ago, what Portugal was. If you remember, Portugal was like a third world country back then, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, getting around and traveling around, and they're still in that phase, but the people are extremely happy with just the project that they have with the European Union and getting into it for them overall. I didn't mean to, let's just say everyone I talked to, nobody was not against Europe or being part of it. And as you rightfully so, all that stuff, it should be more people based and not, government based, and NATO's and this and that and all that stuff.
Right. Yes, I mean, John makes a good point here, and we will talk about Portugal soon. But I think this is really important from a geopolitical sort of bigger point of view. We are in Europe here, and these issues are important, and we can be part of shaping this future. João de Norte saying, and we'll see you at 9:30, John. Georgia seems a little too close to Russia for me. Perhaps one day they might want to reacquire the homeland of their native son. Stalin, kidding, kind of. And these are the ideas we've grown up with, aren't they? Red's under the bed. I know that Eastern Europe has a very poor kind of PR often among, in UK where I grew up. It's a bit like Africa, how we were given these terrible stereotypes of whole cultures reduced down to just horrible limiting ideas and perceptions of people. So I hope there's great work that can be. Well, it's up to us to do it, isn't it? It's up to us to reach out people to people and transcend these sort of limiting political ideas and having our lives shaped for us, I think, rather than shaping them ourselves. So when are the Georgian delegation coming? On that note, when can we have a drink and something to eat with them in Portugal, Tony?
Well, definitely I'm already planning to go there for next year,
Right.
for the 10th year anniversary. and I might be bringing a few Portuguese people and friends and investors there with me. But definitely Georgians are asking me already, like, when we want to come visit Portugal, because as I was talking to them about our beautiful country, they were just fascinated because they don't know what they don't know. I didn't know what I didn't know, and you have to go there and you have to see it. Don't whatever you read on paper, read on TV, you know what? Go there. Before you make any judgment calls, you have to see it. You have to feel it. And they felt my passion about Portugal and living here. The last 22 years, that when I would say that I feel at home, they felt, you know what, we got to go visit you. So hopefully soon, and I'll keep you posted about it.
Oh, yeah. And if anyone wants to call into the show, from Georgia, who there, and we can do a little bit of our own exchange or twinning. The twin town thing was always great, wasn't it? And twinning of cities, so that you get that cultural exchange. If we can have our version of that, your friends in Georgia are very welcome to come in onto the show and tell us about themselves and their country, and vice versa.
Oh, beautiful! They would love to. I think sharing their country with for us, we're all ambassadors, right? You, me, and anyone here in Portugal, living here that loves this beautiful country. We got to consider ourselves ambassadors, okay? Because if you don't, then get out. That's all. If you don't support and love the country, then find your home.
What are you doing here? Yes.
What are you doing here? So we all got to be ambassadors, and we got to love and defend where we live, because if you don't feel that way, then it's time for you to find a place to call home. This obviously Portugal isn't for you, and they love their country too. And that's the thing, but they're always open to saying, okay, a lot of them would be very interested in our golden visa or even passive income visa, retiring here because they would want European passport. They're going to be part of the European Union in the next 5-6 years. I don't have a doubt about it, or 8 years. I don't have a doubt about that. And so they're going to have their own residency programs. But until then, wouldn't it be great? Hey, Georgians that can come move to Portugal, etc., retire here as well, have that quality of life, and then they can move back after they have all the infrastructure set up there, because they still have to grow a little bit about that. In terms of communication, getting around from one place to the other. But there's so many opportunities. I actually went to see some houses when you say the Caquete region, that's like the wine region. Okay. And I have some clients, friends, right, that they moved here to the Minho. And when they found out I was going there, they always had their eye looking there to invest there. Guess what? They're already in touch with a few of the realtors there that I made some beautiful connections with, and looking at investment properties, like older houses to buy and to renovate. You're talking $25,000-$30,000, because they were on a dollar-based economy. Okay. Yeah. And you hold on to them. You may not remember, Carl, but I remember distinctively 30 years ago, you could buy old houses, 25,000-30,000 euros, or at the time wasn't euros, but you can buy them that within 5 years, they would double the money of what the value of people looking at Portugal. You know what I mean? So it's in that phase, and it's still lots of opportunity. So I have no doubt that you'll see, you'll be hearing more about it, not only for me, but for many other people.
I've really enjoyed this part of the conversation today. I think it's so important. And João saying there, João de Norte, definitely nothing against the Georgians. I knew that, John, absolutely. It's the government of their neighbour I'm suspicious of. And that isn't that the funny thing? Because I think, again, that's maybe what people all around the world say about each other, isn't it? I do, some people live in fear of having an American democracy visit as well, don't they, from time to time? It's all a matter of perception. And how people have been brought up and propagandized and politicized, I think, as well. So very interesting.
Carl, centuries ago, we used to fight off Spanish incursion here in the Minho. Now it's encouraged. We're always worried of our neighbors.
Who doesn't like a Spanish incursion first thing in the morning? With a little glass of Moscatel. I've got to tell you, I discovered Moscatel last night. Yeah, thanks to I know you've got this up in the Douro, closer to you, but this is the Setúbal Moscatel. I hadn't tried this before, Tony. Another great secret of the winemaking industry of Portugal. What a fabulous drink this is! Yeah,
that's in Setúbal. Up here in the north, you have Favaios, which I'm actually. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. And Favaios is an actual brand, or it's a region. It's a city called Favaios, and we're actually going there. May 27th, part of our trade mission is going to the Douro region. We're going to go on a boat ride and visiting a beautiful farm that they make Favaios, have lunch there. What an exciting event. I think I've mentioned it before, and I'll do that shameless plug, but the trade mission, we still have 4 seats available Four
Oh, okay.
seats available. Discovering the Minho, Porto, but basically Porto's only 2 days. We wanted to keep our focus on the Minho and northern Spain, and really great opportunity. If anybody's still interested, we still have 4 seats available, and they are our realtor friends.
Who's allowed to be on that? Who qualifies for such a trip?
Either anyone that's interested. It's not a holiday, because if you want a holiday, we're not tour guides. Well, I am a tour guide, but we're showing real estate. We're showing the region. Okay, we don't focus too much on the real estate itself, but we show the regions, the wine, the culture, the people, the food. We're visiting quite a few wine estates as well, getting to know why should be the Minho your part of the region to live in. So we're staying at this beautiful palatial home here in Vila Nova de Cerveira. It's just for us for the whole 5 days there, because it's 7 days, right? So 2 in Porto. And you get to learn about all the process, buying from A to Z and everything in between. You have a lawyer, you have our loan brokers, you have imagine everyone part of our team that you need to get the transaction completed will be there. So it's a learning experience as well. And it's for realtors that want to establish relationships with us for referral-based partnerships, okay? And as well as some of those realtors are investors themselves, and some of them are looking, and I'll have them on the call after they complete the transaction, because they're going to be buying here. They want to live in the Minho. After 6 months, a year of talking to them and discovering, okay, is it the Algarve? Is it Lisbon? Is it Porto, etc.? No, Tony, we want to be in the Minho. That's where it is. And after sending them information. So people don't know what they don't know. And me and John and a lot of others that know this beautiful part of the world, it's nothing else like in Portugal. Even I think the only thing you have to think about, okay, the only thing that's different from the rest of Portugal, you know what it is? The weather. That's it. Everything else.
That's what I want to talk to you about. That is certainly one of the things we want to talk about. I talked to John briefly about this. I was in the area for the first time, taking in Ponte De Lima at the weekend. I could see you were out of the country. So you and I will tour a bit more of the north at some point in the future, I'm hoping. And the weather thing came up, and I think it needs a bit of myth busting. We've started this process with John. And do you think it puts people off going and exploring the north of Portugal because they think it's going to be too cold for them?
No. Look, become a rain bird. Buy a property here, buy a holiday property in the Algarve or in Madeira for 2 or 3 months, and you can get away from the rain. There's no better place in the world from, say, March up until the end of October. Let's just say. So you have November, December, January, parts of February, etc. But even in that time, okay, our weather is characterized by rain. Okay, so it's colder in the morning. It does rain a little more, but guess what? That's why everything is so lush and green. Don't compare the green of Portugal in the center or in the Alentejo with our green. Our green is lush. Okay, it comes from the rain. The grapes, the wine, okay, the Alvarinho and other parts, the Douro Valley. The rain is essential. It's part. There is no snow unless you go up to the high mountains, but there is no snow, and it's characterized by the rain. You have sunny days in the middle of February, okay, January, February, it's like the coldest, of course, but you have days that can get up to, 15 degrees, 16 degrees. That's like in your upper 50s, lower 60s, right? Of course, in the morning, you have to leave with a jacket, okay, or a sweater or something. At nighttime, when the sun goes down, you got to have a jacket or come back home. And, it's that simple. But other than that, it's a beautiful weather. And what's amazing about this region, in addition to the weather, where people, you like it or you don't like it. Of course, if somebody lives in Southern California all their life, they're not going to like this region up here because they want to be warm climate all year round. Okay, but think about it in the summertime when you have those hot days, which can go up to the mid-30s or upper 40s sometimes, and you have those heat stress. We don't feel that here, which is great, So in the summertime, and I love it because there's no better place for me in the world to live than the Minho from, say, March to the end of October. So you have to find a place for 3 months, visit your family in the US or Canada or anywhere in the world, go down to the Algarve, go to Morocco's, go visit Georgia as well. I don't know, go somewhere warm because that's probably it. I'm in shorts pretty much all year round, Carl. So,
I've heard this about you. Yes, that your reputation precedes you on that matter. For sure. Well, thank you for that clarification. And whilst people are saying, it's cold, that it has to be remembered that all of Portugal is this cold country with a hot sun, and that you do need to take your jacket or layers with you. It's all of Portugal is quite changeable in that way. The temperature ranges from morning to midday and then into the evening can vary drastically, and that is all of Portugal. And if you like seasons, I mean, this is the great impression that was made on me. If you like seasons, and if you're a Brit that would miss the seasons, for example, and of course this would apply to Americans as well. Do you know Ponte De Lima and driving around in that beautiful granite-faced part of the country? It is very different. It has its own very special flavor, appeal, spirit up there. It is the most like the UK in terms of, the countryside and how it looks. And when you're walking in the lanes of Ponte De Lima, it is the most like the UK I've experienced in all of Portugal. And it felt very familiar. And I can see how, if you like seasons, it's ideal, absolutely ideal. We had most of them in the one day that we were there on the Saturday. It was cloudy and drizzly in the morning. But that was beautiful because it was a cloud enveloping the mountain ranges. We went into town, it drizzled a bit more. Then the sun came out, and you couldn't get naked enough. It got really hot in the afternoon there. So it's like Frank Sinatra, isn't it? If someone said to Frank Sinatra, "If you don't like the British weather, wait 5 minutes." There's a bit of that going on, I think, in the north as well.
Absolutely. The four seasons, I'm glad you brought it up. I love the four seasons. When it's spring, when it's summer, fall, etc. And that's something that, I think, it's psychologically for me, like I can't live in a place where it's warm all year round. It's just, then I probably need to move to Brazil or something, but it's, it's a beautiful place. One of the, we don't talk about it as much. We talk mostly about Portugal and the mainland, but you have two beautiful islands, okay? The Madeira Islands, okay, you have a phenomenal weather all year round. And even then, in the island of Madeira, for example, you could go in the same day, as you mentioned, but from the high point where it could have a little bit of snow and cold. And as you go down, it gets warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer. So even Madeira has a nice, beautiful mix of weather. The Azores, imagine Ireland and Hawaii mixed together. That's how beautiful Azores.
Yes.
I can't put it any other way. I've been to Ireland and I've been to Hawaii, and the Azores is just that natural paradise. The weather there is also great. And you're looking at a subtropical climate. Bananas grow on the island of Madeira, of course. They're famous for it. So, and the Azores is just a natural, beautiful paradise. And the weather may be attractive there. And even here, I always say, like, you really go, it's the best way to do it, unless you visited Portugal quite a few times a year. Okay, you already have friends here living close by. You know what it is. And everything about moving here is first about the lifestyle. And it has to do with the weather. That's the most important thing. You know what I say to people? Rent for 6 months or a year. Get started on the D7 visa process. You need a year lease agreement. Don't buy anything. There's plenty of time to discover Portugal. And you'll figure out that place you would want to call home. And whether it is, but give it a shot, because I actually, maybe after we close a transaction with her, Marceline is a client that we help move from Northern California. And she's living in Setúbal. That's where she wanted. Setúbal was for her after 6 months of almost a year of talking with her, discovering where to settle in. So we helped her find her a place to rent in Setúbal. And after she's been reading and following up on more of the northern part of the Minho region, she says, this is where I want to live because of everything that it has. The quality of life, cost of living. I'm sure that even when you went out with John, you were there in Ponte De Lima. It's a little more affordable than probably anywhere else in Portugal. That I can guarantee you. Even when you go for the dish prato do dia, or for dinner, or for a coffee, or a simple beer, or a glass of wine or something, the cost of living, everything is a lot cheaper.
It's very classy as well, though, Tony. That's what I noticed in Ponte De Lima. It's this is a place. Another stereotype, prejudice, perhaps, is people think the north. The northern stereotypes abound wherever you are in the world. I think it's the same in the UK. It's a bit grim up north, and people are a bit poorer. That is may well be the case on some levels, but Ponte De Lima, if you take Ponte De Lima as an example, it's a luxurious town, isn't it?
What about Viana do Castelo? Viana do Castelo, which is next door, it's one of the most beautiful cities in northern Portugal. I mean, yes. I have no problem saying that. Viana do Castelo, the whole coast from Viana all the way up to Valença. You have Caminha, you have Vila Nova de Cerveira, you have Valença. Even though when you go further up, it's all along the Minho River. Like I said, there's so many. Even you go in further, Arcos de Valdevez, that whole region. But Ponte De Lima, Ponte De Lima is interesting because it never gave up its city status, so it has. It's the village as the oldest village in Portugal, and it's a beautiful, quaint little village. I mean, you have a mix of. It's trendy, okay? Bars, nightlife, restaurants, great entertainment, great everything, culture, everything. There's no shortage of anything. Maybe 40 years ago, everything, in the villages and stuff was a little more, hard to get to or things or to do, etc. There's no shortage of anything there. And
there's a lot of money. You can tell this is a wealthy part of the country. You get like a compare and contrast to the islands of Asia. You can see that there's an agricultural past where people have lived in quite difficult circumstances. Excuse me. And that may be true, of course, up in the north, but there is a definite sense of wealth among the families, the older established families who ran things, I think, in the north of Portugal. And you get it. You're driving around this great sense of luxury in the hills. And, the thing that sometimes shocks people when they're driving around central Portugal or the island of Asia is the amount of dilapidated and neglected buildings. Not so much in the north, I noticed. Certainly not around Ponte De Lima.
Without a doubt, up here, it's kind of a masqueraded wealth. There's wealth. It's hidden wealth, right? They're not flaunting it, but you could see it by the homes. You could see it by the way that the renovation projects. You could see that holiday makers. A lot of people that live in Braga, Porto, in the bigger cities, and even more southern, they have a holiday home here. A lot of beautiful palaces that have been turned into hotels, etc. So you can see the luxury all abound, all around. And it's not, as you say, dilapidated. There are some villages interior if you go, but when you're around the major villages of like Ponte de Lima, Viana do Castelo, and all those bigger villages, I mean, it's just all been completely renovated. Thank good for the foreigners and Portuguese. That it's not only foreigners, but the Portuguese that live in the cities that want a holiday home. And they buy these old rustic houses. They want, their children to play with they want in the ground, in the grass, and be with the chickens and the goats and the sheep and everything. And they love getting away from the city life into that rural country. They want their children to see it, be a part of it. And that's what it offers, in my opinion.
It certainly
that's why
does.
People love it.
And here you are. Look, you're talking about Viana do Castelo. Thanks, everybody, for your wonderful comments. Sarah, loving Tony. Love that. Love where you live or find a new home. So before you go today, look at you bring beautiful property. And this is what gives us, on Spain Speak, somebody was saying, that Good Morning Portugal show, they're just selling luxury homes to rich people. Well, guilty as charged, perhaps, on this occasion. However, luxury homes to rich people, these are incredible value as well, aren't they? If this is the style of home that you're looking for in the wonderful Viana do Castelo that Tony's mentioning here. Tell us about these, Tony, before you go this morning.
Sure. This is a beautiful development in Viana do Castelo, right on the Lima River. Okay. And the Lima River also runs through Ponte de Lima. So you're literally 10 minutes away from Ponte de Lima. You're close to you walk. Everything in this development is about quality of life. People, it's sort of a concierge service as a resort living lifestyle. It's great for investing in it. You want to live there, that's fine. But if you want to buy something to hold on to it, that's somebody that you're going to be able to rent out. Yeah, you can see the whole development. There's over 400 units. 100 have been already sold. There's going to be a hotel there being built that even the homeowners are going to have access to use the hotel services like the pool, etc. There is a river beach. Some of the apartments, like the penthouse, luxury penthouse apartment, has its own private pool. There's luxury. They're starting at 1 bedrooms all the way up to 4 bedrooms, starting at prices of 260,000 euros. And when you think about your ROI, the return on investment, renting out, it's a management company. You know what's great about this? You don't see it you may see it all over the world. This complex and the builder, there is an app on your phone. You want to walk your dog? I'll just, let me get it on there. You want to schedule a dinner reservation. It's all about a concierge service. There's a building there for not only a restaurant, bakery, health center, etc. For the development, okay, for all the people that reside there. And most of the investors have been overseas investors where they come out a few times a year, but they rent it as if a resort living. And you have a beautiful bike path. You can walk to the ocean. You can walk to the center. Viana do Castelo, the city center, is literally 5 minutes walking. It's a beautiful
that
area.
view. That view is fantastic, Tony. We when we left Ponte De Lima, we drove home via Viana de Castelo, which is going further north, I think, to come back down. But we had to take a look, and it's incredible. Again, it reminded me of places in the UK with its, where the sea meets the river, and that beautiful building up on the hill there, the iconic building of Viana de Castelo there. What an amazing development. Who knew? So get in touch with Tony for this and the trade mission that's coming up. So I've got putting your website address into the chat now. And infinite-solutions.pt, where you can find out about the trade mission and this lovely development here, which Tony is involved in. Thank you for being here this morning, Tony. Always great to chat with you on your monthly visits. Fantastic sharing about your visit to Georgia as well. A last word from you, my friend, before you go.
No, just wishing everybody a happy Tuesday, and thank you as always for bringing me on. I love sharing anytime, and feel free to reach out to anyone that wants to know a little bit more about the beautiful part of the world that I call home, which is the Minho. And I love all of Portugal, but when you have a certain connection with the land because of your heritage, your people, your family, that makes it all worthwhile. And definitely, it would be a privilege. I'm going to be showing it to quite a few friends, realtor friends, investor friends, and 4 seats left in the trade mission. And we'll be closing it off sometime in next week or in early next week. So if anybody listening, do reach out. But thank you, Carl, as always, and look forward to not only listening during the weeks until next month when we see each other. And when you're here in the Minho, then we got to go to Spain too.
Oh, we will do that. We'll definitely come and do that. We had such a lovely time, and with the man who's coming up next. So that was Tony time for this morning. Our man in the Minho, Antonio Barbosa. Thank you so much, Tony. Take care. Ciao, ciao, and bye for now. There he goes. And let's keep that applause going. It's João de Norte, everybody. Good morning, John. It's the Catman.
Good morning. How are you all? Perfect. Enjoying the show, enjoying Tony.
Isn't he great? He's fantastic to listen to and to talk to. Thank you, Mrs. M, for that lovely cup of coffee in my Good Morning Portugal mug. Oh, must get that merchandise sorted out. John, so great to hang out with you and have that lovely view behind you there. I've got a little bit of a video, but it was fantastic. What a lovely weekend. And of course, you have been singing the praises. You discovered the beauty of Ponte De Lima and singing the praises of the North. And I think back to do a little bit more myth busting about this weather thing this morning, as well as telling us about a wonderful hike. Is this one you're planning for yourself heading up into the Peneda Gerês?
Oh, it's one we did.
You've done it already. Great. Okay.
Yeah, so I can be a little bit of a tour guide. I sent you 2 little pictures. One, an image of the route itself, and then an image of Santos Cafe.
My word! Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Okay, that looks fantastic. All right, but okay, before we get into the tour, which looks fantastic. A little bit more about this weather thing. I think Tony was bang on again, wasn't he, with what he was saying about it? And we did have some great.
And actually, before you get into that, the day that we spent bar hopping, if you would, throughout pub hopping through the town, wasn't that a synopsis in one day of pretty much a year's worth of weather? I mean, we got a little bit of everything, didn't we?
Yep. It was seriously, 4 seasons in one day. And I was reminded of that, of UK and the Frank Sinatra comment, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It was like that. And I think it is the packing advice when going out for the day is to carry layers, have a day bag. Is that what they're called? And a bottle of water. And a couple of layers in there, and plenty of beer tokens, because there are so many lovely bars.
Remember when we left the house? I was like, should I, because I'm just in a t-shirt, and I was like, should I bring a coat? Then I look at Pam. I was like, of course I should bring a coat. And then, but, sure enough, yeah.
If you really wanted to, create a little commercial opportunity there, you could create the sort of tourist day bag for Ponte De Lima with everything you need for the day there. The tourists tend to forget, right? The Pacamac, the umbrella, the brolly, perhaps, and an extra layer, a Ponte De Lima t-shirt, maybe to put on.
And then an extra t-shirt to change it back into.
Yeah, for sure. So yes, we did. It was. I mean, what was that? Just the luck of the draw, or is that a normal Saturday in Ponte De Lima?
It was a little bit of the luck of the draw.
Right.
because the weather app I looked at didn't show any of that rain system that we had. Normally it's pretty accurate, but I was like, wasn't even. I was looking at the app even when it was actually raining out. I was looking at it's like there's nothing here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've got more video to run. I shot 3 videos. One of us arriving and hanging out with the Roman centurions. The second one by the church on the other side of the water, and the guitarist playing a Hotel California, which is great. And one which I'll share with you again in just a moment, John, after we've caught up with the comments. And then we'll go on a little tour and look at that beautiful lunch that I think you had up there. Great comments. Thank you, everybody. And I think, Tony, it is good life advice, isn't it? If you don't like where you live, maybe move or do something about it as well. But no such problems for John and Pam this morning with that. Oh, we're hearing about Andrew Gilchrist sweating. I was sweating out this last of my illness. Sorry to hear you've been. I mean, it's not stopped you calling in, which has been great, Lord Gilchrist, or tuning in. Actually, feels better this morning. So glad to hear that. And yes, so that's good. We've dealt with that one, didn't we? The link for the show, John. Thank you very much. And you're playing with Catface, who is actually officially Tintin now, and declared yourself a cat person, a little bit like Leslie here, who's been a cat person since. I bet that's a very special pet that you had when you were 3 years old there. And here's Sarah's comment. Love where you live or find a new home. Suze, who fell in love with Ponte De Lima. I left Ponte De Lima after the first week in May last year. It was too hot. How about that? 29 degrees for 5 straight days. San Martino de Porto was cooler, in fact. Perfect as for the rest of the year. And don't get me wrong, she says, I love the north, but as I've said before, I'm not a fan of hot weather. Is that Suze? I think Suze has settled on Ponte De Lima, though. But isn't that interesting that somebody might complain that Ponte De Lima, despite some people thinking it's too cold, it's actually too hot on occasion?
Well, if you remember, it was hot all throughout Europe last year. It was just an unusually hot summer. Yeah, that might have been it, Suze. But I think it is Ponte De Lima that your heart is settled, isn't it? Or certainly that district, Suze. Let us know. Bagrandi, this is good. Other comments coming in from Bagrandi. I prefer warm days and a cool night, not hot all the time. I also like 4 seasons, and that's why I like the Bagrada. You get that as well. Hot days and nights are great for holidays, but not to live. Now, this is a really interesting consideration, isn't it, for people? Fair enough. 2 weeks away, you want it hot all the time, perhaps, but it's no way to live, is it? No, I mean, how you holiday and how you live, I think, is a key distinction when moving to Portugal. So it's going to be different. Life is different when you're living your life rather than looking for the next lunch, dinner, or drink for 14 days, which I think tends to be a lot of people's holiday making. Was that a key consideration for you, John? Were you thinking, we've got to think about how we're going to live rather than being constantly on holiday? I would say definitely so. And I was just going to show you a secret that apparently they are not fully aware of yet here in Portugal that we had installed here in our house. I'm going to change my settings here and show you the secret. Hold on.
Is this a clue, perhaps? Because Bairandi also makes the comment, especially with no aircon everywhere. Oh, here we go. So what's going on here? Did you have this especially fitted and installed for your home?
Yeah, we have 4 ceiling fans. So one in the living room and one in each bedroom. Okay.
And this is what, do you feel this is an import, a special touch that you brought for yourself here?
I've rarely seen it in other Portuguese homes. If I'm mistaken, I apologize, but I've really never seen it anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Old school aircon, you might say.
Yeah. And when when I asked the builder, because I couldn't find any shops or anything, and he said that's an unusual ask, and they did find them and ordered them, but anyway, it was a nice little upgrade.
It is, and they have lights in them as well, don't they? Very nice indeed. Yeah. And the beautiful thing about it, I think, is it changes that sort of somewhat stifled atmosphere you can get. That's what a ceiling fan's good for, isn't it? It moves the air.
Yeah, the worst thing is stale air. If you have air movement, it makes for a lot less sweaty nights, if you will.
Yep. Yep, and that if in case on those occasions where you don't want one of those, a ceiling fan can be good. So they are available here in Portugal, as John has installed them himself there. What more comments coming up about this and the weather, the climate in the north, and comparisons therewith before we go on tour. What I have discovered watching the weather in both Ericeira, Lisboa-ish but cooler, and Espinho, Porto-ish. The biggest difference is in the extremes. The north has a narrower temperature range, generally warmer at the coldest end and cooler at the hottest end. That would be quite a good way of putting it. Would you agree with that, John?
Yeah, I don't know. It remains to be seen, I guess. I was just looking at some averages overall for the last 10 years or so to respond to a query that was put onto the VIP Jumper site. And generally speaking, over time, the highs are a bit like 24 to 25 as a high in the summertime. And that's on average. Of course, some years it's higher and some years it's cooler. But that's what I saw. My experience last year, because I was here in June, was the temperatures were just magnificent. And we fortunately left. We were here for 3 weeks, as you well know, in terms of our 3-week scouting trip. And so the tail end of that was up here in Ponte De Lima. And when we left, that's when the hot spell hit. And so then they started having regular temperatures up in the 30s and things. And so it's like, well, see.
yeah, incredible. And I think implicit in what you're saying there is that these are changing times, very variable times, aren't they, in terms of climate and weather as well. So it is hard to predict, but there are some useful generalizations here, and a bit of myth busting has gone on, I think, about the climate in the north. Finally, for James, even then, it's usually a difference of only about 2 to 3 degrees centigrade. So diversity in seasons, certainly a thing for the north of Portugal. I think,
and if it is hot, there is this big body of wet here behind me,
isn't there?
And it's quite popular for bathing. There's river beaches. There's a kayak club right there. So being close by to a place where you can get cooler is nice.
In the trees as well. So in this wonderful avenue that you can walk down to get into town, very thoughtfully arranging the parking so that we could do that, John, at the weekend. That's Vitor was saying this, wasn't he? This is beautifully cool in the summer, and what a brilliant foresight for the people who planted that, who are never going to be around to enjoy its shade. But that is magnificent.
People that don't know, those are plane trees, and they are akin or sisters to the London plane tree, which you see a lot. And these ones, you can't quite tell from this angle here, but these are all like 300-400-year-old trees. They're massive,
incredible.
They're more than a meter wide. And as Carl has many times said, it's a country of a cool country with a hot sun. So if you can go someplace that's out of the sun, it can be much cooler, very pleasant. So it might be 35 or out in the sun, but in the shade there, it's a nice pleasant 22.
That is nature's air conditioning. It's so beautiful, that little avenida there. Talking of shade, just quickly pop to the south. Anna, thank you so much for your pictures. And she says, you're Portuguese when you start to like the shade. And again, it's this holiday versus living thing, isn't it? Once you get to Portugal, you're not so keen necessarily to be in the sun all the time. Thank you for that picture of yourself standing under, I think we're safe to say, a palm tree from that silhouette. And while we're with you here, it certainly is. And I think this was a Carnation Revolution commemoration concert. All those red carnations on the stage there, if I see correctly there. And a couple of other things before we go. A paz começa nas tuas. Look at that beautiful mural there. And thank you for your photographs from the south. And the interesting, the theme of peace around the Carnation Revolution, of course. But don't forget, there never stay vigilant, because there might be people down the drains. That's a nice little bit of street art there in VRSA Villarreal de Santo Antonio. Brilliantly done next to the manhole cover there, if that's still what they're called. People escaping from the drain there. Lovely bit of street art and graffiti. And finally, a nightscape from VRSA. I know, Anna, you've been busy, so thank you very much for sharing these. That's a dramatic. You get those in the north, all over Portugal as well. The skies have been quite amazing. Oh, and on Sunday we had that. Was it called a dog sun?
Oh, yes.
What was that about, John? Did you research that when we got back?
Let me send you a photo of that if you didn't take one yourself.
I'm just downloading one now, actually. So I'll hastily put that onto the screen. But do we know what that phenomenon was?
It's called a sundog.
Sundog, right? Okay.
Yeah, and must be something to do with the weather or some of the humidity in the air or something. But
it looks like a big eye in the sky. It had a contrail or two going through it as well, which might have affected it. But that's as you stepped out onto the street on Sunday morning. That's what was in the sky.
Yeah, and I was like, "What is that?"
Yes, what is that?
I think it was one of your children that noticed it first.
It may well have been. It may well have been. So let's roll VT, as it were. Of the 3 videos that were made, the Big Dongs of Ponte De Lima, the Centurions, and the view. What's the name of this Miradouro, John? The one you took us to, that we drove up to.
Oh, the name of the mountainside there.
Yeah. Because it's behind you in your picture there, isn't it? In your backdrop.
No, actually,
the other side.
We're it would be as I'm facing, it would be in front of me. So it's that way.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so that is called.
All right. Well, you can find it's about 3 or 4 minutes of this, so I'm going to roll it now, and we can come back to what it's called. But we popped up to here. It was a really good way to kind of conclude the day with a view of where we'd just been. So here it is. We'll stay on screen for this and with our mics open, so we can talk over it as well, John.
Well, I thought we'd already made the best video of the day, but here we go, up the hill, up to a Miradouro overlooking Ponte De Lima. And there's the magnificent River Lima beneath us. It's been an interesting day because it's been cloudy and misty, and then there's been outbreaks of beautiful, hot, bright sunshine. That's the, if you saw the earlier video, if I zoom in a little bit, that's the medieval bridge there, which João de Norte was telling me dates back to, I think, a century before, or BC minus a century or thereabouts. And we'll record a podcast later on about the Roman centurion story, because John's found that, and it's really a good story.
Miradouro de Santo Ovidio.
Look at this.
Okay.
Owen is with us as well. You stay in the picture, Owen. Thank you for bringing us here. This is quite a good place to see fireworks, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Just down in the village there, they had it, and the whole area down the bottom by the Roman bridge.
Yeah.
Everything was lit up. It was amazing.
I bet it was.
I'll share the photographs with you later.
Oh, cheers. And do you remember the name of this Miradouro? Where we are at the moment?
Santo.
Okay, but this is
Ovidio.
There is a chapel behind us as well. Okay, there's a chapel behind us. You can see this is a beautiful vantage point for the River Lima. And we're looking back now at the town there, which now looks so little, doesn't it? And that we can see the wonderful plane tree avenue that we walked through, the old bridge and the new bridge. Absolutely stunning up here.
There you go. I'll post that up in full length, because that's just half of the video there, with a bit of a voiceover about the area. But I mean, that was incredible, popping up there. We've got extra items as well as our Pacamax and umbrellas and 2 t-shirts and a water bottle. Decent pair of shoes. That's a good call. A decent pair of shoes. Holiday makers forget that the majority of Portugal is countryside. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Great to hear. Tony says Francis still plan on touching base when we land that side. Thanks for being a legend. 2 this morning, João de Norte and the man in the Minho singing the praises of the north this morning. And I think we've also got we've sorted out the Setúbal, how to pronounce it, although it is said, Mr. S, that someone said that they heard even people from Setúbal saying it differently in the same sentence. So I think that continues the confusion around that, and it's something we need to learn to live with. There you go. You'll find Portuguese residents of the world who will pronounce it differently in the same sentence. So there you go. It's learning to live with that rather than finding the definitive way of pronouncing it. From Bairandi to Pete. Fortunately, our old Kinta is lovely and cool, being partly underground and thick walls. But for more modern property, solar air conditioning is great. Thank you for that tip. Very helpful to people. And yeah, thank you, John, for this. Viana is due west. I didn't have to. It felt like I was going north to visit there, but I was actually going towards the sea, wasn't I? Going west there. Okay. Very good. And okay, James, imagine that 2 weeks in a place is very different experience than 2 years in the same place. I meant the holiday mindset rather than the chronology of that. PDL. So Susie's clarifying for us. Ponte De Lima or Viana for me. I got lost on the way to Viana. That's an autobiography title, perhaps. GPS on a small highway took me up a mountain, backtracked. Still need to experience Viana. Looks lovely, and an ocean breeze. And I adore funiculars. And I think, as you said, who doesn't like a funicular first thing in the morning? Lovely films. Thank you. And bon dia from, I think that's Tabitha there. Dan and I want to go up and experience that view. Yeah, definitely do it. Yeah, old trees, talking of old trees, old growth redwoods. It's not easy to say that. Extremely calming, 1,000-year plus old trees, and the intelligence and vibes of those trees. Isn't that fantastic? All right, so we're going from Ponte De Lima now. We are heading north, are we not? Yes, we are heading north. I think I've got that right this time.
Oh, no, we're heading east.
Nearly. In my mind, John, I've got the Jerash to the north. It is, isn't it?
It's due east.
Is it really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so okay, another myth busting then. So when we first came to Portugal, we thought we'd driven in through the north, through the Ponte de Lima, which we probably did. But in my mind, I've got it that Viana and Ponte de Lima are south of the real north, but they are part of the real north, aren't they? The Ponte de Lima de Castelo is just before you get to Spain.
Yeah, to me, the real north is pretty much, if you're going up to 828 from Porto, it's not until you reach Esposén and climb the hill. Yeah. And then from there, and you meet the crest and come down, then everything from there on is all mountains and forests and hills and rivers and things. So up to that point, it's more or less that rolly, flat, central Portugal kind of look. Yes. And so I count Porto as part of central. It's not, I know, but it's similar to.
Yeah. Well, I think Hank has been dealt quite a difficult hand. He's representing Porto and the north in the Expats Portugal Best Place to Live competition.
But has he been up north?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I think in years to come, that competition will be Porto. Lisbon will be one thing, Porto will be another thing. And maybe you'll represent what you might call true north of Portugal.
Yeah, from the Lima River up to the Minho.
Because it's so different from Porto, isn't it? I mean, there are some similarities in the northern spirit of Portuguese people, but it is really a very different place. So check. We've got Central Portugal versus the Algarve on Thursday. If you want to join in on that, so let's bring that map back on. Talk us through this, if you will, then, John. Where are we going?
Yeah, and actually, in all honesty. It is slightly from left to right at an angle. So it is slightly north. So it's not quite as flat east as this rendering looks like. Yes. So you are marginally correct. But by and large, it's more east than it is north. But this is one of many journeys and adventures into the Gresh that we plan to take in the months and years to come. And so I have several different adventures planned, and this was one of them. And so the plan was a little bit serendipitous or spontaneous, if you will, because I really just wanted to just have a look and just see what we could see. And perhaps find a waterfall or two. But as you can see, we started in Ponte de Lima, and upriver, the next main town or village you come to is known as Ponte de Barca. and that is where the River Vej comes from the north and meets into the Lima. And you may have heard of the village called Arc de Valdevej, which is just a little bit north of there. So this is a bit of a loop. So from Ponte de Barca, we then continued on the N203 and entered into the Parque de Pineda Garesh. And you see that one little pin that I marked there, and that is Santos Cafe and Petiscos, which is snacks. And Carl, I don't know if you have the picture of that.
I certainly do. Let's have a look at your
next slide, please.
There you go.
Yeah, and so this is an amazing place, and you just go up some steps. There's a nice little parking lot on the opposite side of the road. And you're on it. It doesn't quite look quite as hilly here, but this is actually quite a steep hill going down to the river, down in the valley, and then another steep hill on the other side, and other villages over there. So I was remarking to Pam, how picturesque those villages are over there, and look at that. And then she was saying, it's like, we probably look the same to them as they do to us, because we were in a little village on a hill over here. Yeah, and I think all of our sandwiches and snacks and drinks and the whole thing only came to like 10 euros. So
beautiful.
It was really, really nice. And
Sorry,
so
the
after
name of the place again, John?
What's that? It's called Santos Cafe and Petiscos. So okay. Santu.
Right, Santos. Okay.
Santos. It is 5-star rated, by the way.
Good.
Yeah, and then so from there, our next stop was at the I'm
just finding Santos.
It's Poco, C with the tilde. So Poso.
Yeah.
Poso de Gola, and that was Poso means well, I think.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so. This was a lovely little pool and waterfall that we were able to hike to, and then took some photos and hiked around in my bare feet on the sandy on the mossy rocks and things. And after that, it's like, well, let's see what else we can see. So we continued up the road a bit more. Where the road came to a reservoir and then would cross the reservoir. Now, at the time, I wasn't paying attention to how close we were to the Spanish border. You can't really see it in this image, but at the terminus of the turnaround spot there, if you see on the far side, if you continue on the road there, you'll reach the Spanish border in a matter of like 5-6 kilometers. So. Right. That's another journey that we're going to do because there's these wonderful Roman hot springs. There was a Roman bath and hot springs, which is totally non-commercialized. You just go to it and, nothing to pay. And it's called Calderos, something, Roman Calderos. But anyway, that's for another day.
Yes.
So we crossed over the reservoir and we went to the next waterfall, which is called Pozo Negro. And this one was a bit of a climb down. It was probably close to 200 steps down the hillside. And this one was magnificent if you have children, because they have all of these, well, I should say, I don't want to say that I would never do it, but I mean, it's got all these wonderful rope swings out there. And I'd like to think I would still do it. But I didn't at the time. But that looked like amazing. You swing out into a nice deep pool with the waterfall plunging into it.
You sent me a photo, didn't you, at the time? So you got to bring it. You did, yes.
I think Digby would have a blast there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be really nice. And just some families enjoying the day. And so after we had that bit of a hike, and none of these are long hikes. You can go much longer hikes and things, but after that we continued on. Oh, by the way, as an aside, I should say, when you're in the Penesh or the Gresh, the main two kinds of hiking that you will do, either you will be hiking down these sort of canyons with cascades and waterfalls and pools and things, or you'll be up on the ridges hiking on the up on the high rocky ridge lines and things. So it's basically one or the other. So and maybe both in the same hike. So anyway, continuing on, after the Pozo de Negros, we went on in a nice windy hill road going down out of the Gresh down to Arcos de Valdevez, the town on the, excuse me. And
sorry, my muting was way off there.
Sorry about that. Tried to give you a warning.
It happens.
And that it's actually it's a beautiful, lovely town, but I will honestly say it's actually more touristy than, at least from my experience, more touristy than most of the villages up in the north. I think it gets some press. I think there's a lot of tour groups that go there because it's really beautiful. It's right up next to the park, and it's got some beautiful river beaches and things. So it's quite popular with some of the tour groups and things. But we continued back then to the N203 and continued our way back to Ponte De Lima. So that was a nice morning and afternoon.
It's incredible, John. I found the video of the rope swings and the waterfalls. So isn't that good? Managed to find that. I'm really delighted by these. Just little 20-second sections. So here's the water running through the rocks. Did you say you jumped into that?
No, I didn't.
All right, you attempted. And here's the other one. That is delightful, isn't it? Thank you so much. Brilliant. What a lovely tour. So there you go. That's heading out from Ponte De Lima and heading east. I got it right this time. Slightly north. And there you go. That's the journey there. I think we need to bank this, don't we, into our resources as well for people to refer to. And the lovely spread that you had there.
I need to update your the Gumper map to put
perfect. What a great idea. Yes, superb. Okay, what a lovely idea. So expect this soon on the Gumper map, including Santos Cafe and Petiscos, a snack stop there. Fabulous. John, thank you so much this morning. Supposed to have Garvo joining us soon with a little bit of a sort of meditative, mindful exercise. What delights do you have planned today in the north of Portugal?
Today, the very exciting trip to the local vitamin store. I'm running low on
living the dream.
My vitamins.
Right. Okay. All right. We have this will be a great idea. Actually, Gemma, I want to ask you something. I saw your comment earlier on. John, are you all right for a few more minutes? Because we've got dad jokes.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, brilliant.
Your time is my time. My time is your time.
Fantastic. So that's great. We can have a special a feature here where as soon as we start at 8:30 in the morning, Darren starts calling. Well, it's basically what he's done this morning, calling Seth. So this sort of update is really good. Let's formalize it one morning, Darren. Hopefully you'll get through and you won't need to ring him tomorrow. But if you do, tune in again tomorrow, and we'll you'll call Seth and you'll let us know. You'll keep us updated. You could even phone us with the engaged tone, and we can share that with everybody. Gemini, have a great day, everyone. You say now. Sorry to hear of, I think, a bereavement here, possibly with you, Gemini. So do let us know if we can help you with Share and Care Portugal, or if you need to talk to anybody. We are here for you. I'm okay, you say earlier on. Not too bad. Trying to accept the passing of Mr. William Bradshaw. So sorry to hear that. And as I say, if we can help in any way, you know where we are as a community. Yes, your comments about cat versus dog. Would you describe yourself as independent, naughty, cheeky, and liking a nap in the afternoon in the sun, John?
It's a bit of an autobiography, I guess.
Okay, right. Rather than liking to get off the chain and chase lizards around a rockery, a bit like me and my dog, perhaps.
Like.
True. When I was a kid, my mother told me I could be anyone I wanted to be. Turns out identity theft is a crime. Thank you, T-Duck. And my doctor told me I was going deaf. The news was hard for me to hear. Oh dear, I was going to apologize to anyone who was hard of hearing. But then again, if Back to the Future were made today, they would go back to 1993. That's quite a chilling realization, is it not? That would be the future they were going back to. 1993, we lived it. Wow. Okay, the great Garvo is about to join us. Thank you, everybody, so far for your wonderful comments. Garvo's out in the countryside. Do you want to stick around for this, John, and go through this meditative exercise with Garvo, or do you need to get to the health food store now?
Oh, no. The health food store is, there's no appointment.
It can wait. Okay. So instead of the X Factor,
if I can fit it in.
All right, brilliant. If you do need to go at any moment, if you feel a sudden iron deficiency, then of course do what you need to do. But we have the great Garvo here. Wave to me, Garvo. He's good to come onto the screen. I don't think a rapturous round of applause is the right way to bring this into the screen. I think we've got a 20-minute or so. I'm going to call it a procedure. It's not a procedure. It's a process, not Garvo. Good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. I hope you can hear me. I'm coming through. We've had a bit of drama, so we had to move location.
We'd never have known. You're looking fabulous. We're seeing the beautiful central Portuguese countryside and hearing the birds and seeing the sun reflecting off your T-shirt. I can hardly look. Yes.
Well, you don't want to go down to skin because that's not nice.
All right. Well, there were requests for that earlier on. I think it was Pete mainly. I'm wondering if you would be clothed or not.
It's that's Pete, isn't it? We know what Pete's like.
Or we know what Pete likes. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So over to you, Garvo. What are you going to do to us this morning?
Well, what it is, it's just a little thing I've been working on for a long, long time about balance, recentering, that sort of thing. And we know in our little turbulent world how important that is at the moment and how much madness is around. But I know that we've kind of got to a point now where we need to sort of be a bit more thoughtful, a bit more connected. And you know me, that's me, isn't it, really?
It is.
So what this is kind of built round is something I worked on for a long, long time. And I know we're short on time, so I'll try and be as quick as I can. So it kind of basically skirts around this, which I found, maybe I'm going to get a close up on that.
I'm going to zoom into you, give you the whole screen. Oh my goodness, what's this? You found it?
No. I came across it years and years and years ago. It was dawned on somebody who I knew, and they didn't really know what it was, and it was kind of a bit of a mystery to them. So they gave it to me, and I researched it over years and years and years. But it looks frightening because it's got the pentagram in the middle. But don't be, because it's not.
Okay.
And what we're going to do here is kind of connected to the symbols that you see on here, right? So very briefly, I've got to do this remotely. You've got the cross, yeah?
Yeah.
That's the equal-sided cross, the Celtic cross. And we know that crosses have a relationship with Christianity, but also the Celtic cross is the symbol of equality and balance. It's a symbol of the elements, earth, air, fire, and water. It's also a symbol of northeast, southwest. Also a symbol of the seasons: summer, spring, winter, autumn. Yeah, so that was very important to obviously the ancient people who worshipped the land, etc. Now sitting in the middle is the frightening bit.
Yes.
The pentacle, which shouldn't be frightened of really, because this actually predates the cross by quite a long time. And this symbol appears maybe 3,500 years ago, Babylon. And it was a symbol of peace, well-being. The Greeks used it the same as well. And it was a sign of goodness. It was a sign of protection, goodness, and everything that should be well in the world.
And that is how the spirit in which you're offering it to us this morning, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And this whole symbol comes together, I'll explain kind of as quickly as I can. But also the pentacle there has got so many different connections. The 5 wounds of Christ, the 5 points, yeah. The 5 rules of Islam, the truths of Islam. It was used as a symbol for Jerusalem in the old days. The Greeks used it as also a greeting for well-being and happiness. And there's loads and loads. I mean, I could go on for hours about that. So that sits on top of the cross, right? So we've got the cross and the pentacle together. Surrounding it is a circle. Circle, again, many different meanings, but it could be the circle of life. It could be the circle, of the entirety of where we are, the universe, and what's beyond. And it also protects the whole lot and joins them all together. And right in the middle, I don't know whether you can see. Can you see the pentagon? The little pentagon right in the middle here. It's like there. It's difficult doing on the camera because it's back to front there, right in the middle.
Really great job, and excellent camera work as well.
The center of that, right, is well, we know what the pentagon's about. It's about defense, isn't it? It's about keeping everything safe. It's about where you keep all your most treasured thoughts, secrets, whatever. Yeah. So I'll briefly run through that. That's the history and the basis of what we're doing. So what we're going to do is a little bit of connection, a little bit of kind of meditation, a kind of body positioning. So much is in this, like Tai Chi, everything, right? But all those symbols there are related to religion. They're related to science. They're related to nature. So this is kind of a really nice meeting point for everybody. It doesn't favor any one. It just encompasses all, which I really like, because as a kid, I studied religious education. I was totally fascinated by other cultures and their religions, but it always seemed to be tainted by like wars or disputes or somebody twisting the rules or benefiting from, as so happens in life. But this is where everybody can meet, right? Nobody is more than anybody else, and we're all equal. And I've devised a couple of little things, right, just to help us in our lives try and get a bit more balanced and a bit more connected. So the first thing I'll show you, this little exercise, I call it exercise, then it is an exercise really, right? But you've got to also visualize as well. So I want everybody to do this if they can, right? And I want to hear back from people, whether it worked, whether it affected them, whether I'm talking a load of rubbish or not. But for me, it works. Right.
So can I just stop you there? The intention, as people are volunteering themselves for this process, the intention that they are becoming involved in is
to get centered, is to become more connected, more aware of their own feelings, and just get back to basics, because sometimes in life it's really difficult because life is complex, isn't it?
It can be.
Life is complex.
It can be.
But just doing these few simple things, right? If you do them, you'll understand exactly what I mean, because having gone through it myself, I can appreciate it. So don't be scared about doing it. In fact, if you want to do it together with a few people, it's even better because it multiplies the effect.
Ooh.
So with your permission, may I?
Please do. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
First position is quite simple. And you know me, I'm quite connected to my elements. I have sites that I dedicate to different elements like fire, air, water, etc. This is my fire site because the sun is blazing down on me, as you can see, right? This is my fire site. It's in the corner of my field, believe it or not. Cast away in the corner here. It's private, it's very, very warm. And at midday, the sun is just full on. So it's got to be a fire sign for me, right? But I'm an earth sign. I gravitate towards earth sign. So if you're a water sign, air sign, you might want to go to rivers, lakes, mountains, whatever. Yeah, you could do this, whichever you feel. It's completely tunable to you. So here we go. Right, first one. This is just to get us centered. This is just to get us balanced. Right. So stand. If you can pull out. Can we get a bit wide on angle on this? Down to the feet. Is that possible? Right. Place your feet together. Yeah, like so. Close your eyes, because sometimes eyes is a distraction. And if you can hear the guy cutting the tiles in the distance, ignore him. That's why I've had to move. Okay, what I want you to do is imagine your feet touching the ground as they are now. And in your mind, sprout roots. Send roots out into the ground. Base yourself into the ground. Send those roots deep into the ground. Like you're searching for water, you're trying to connect with the mycelium and the soil and the nutrients, right? And when you get those little roots around you, right, you're in stage 1. You're connected, you're grounded. Okay? Just a moment of quietness. Then take your hands, put them center over your solar plexus, your heart region. Yeah, this is where the energy is, isn't it? This is so many different cultures believe this is where your energy center is. So you're going to take that there, right? Just pause for a while, just for a couple of seconds. Just let the heat build, let the energy build into your hands. Okay. Still keep your eyes closed, but now extend your arms out. Palms up. Now we're in the cross position, aren't we? The one that's on the little amulet. We're emulating the cross. We're emulating maybe religious overtones, but we're balancing. Your arms are equal, your feet are on the ground, and your head is up to the sun. And it's a glorious place to be. So just take a moment just to get your breathing really, really nice. And together. The sun is gorgeous. I'm sensing the sun. I can hear the birds. I feel a slight breeze on the end of my fingers. Sometimes helps if you imagine that you end your arms, maybe you've got leaves on them or feathers or whatever, so you can feel the environment around you. Now you can open your eyes. Okay, now you can open your eyes. And there's a beautiful view of the sun and the trees and my lovely vegetable plot down there, which is coming along really well. So you're balanced now, right? So bring it all back in again to the middle. Just take a couple of seconds. Still keep your roots there for a second. That's fine. Just suddenly you feel better. The world is good. Now we're going to go for the next step, which focuses on the senses, right? And I've got a little bit of a thing here, right? You know me and bay leaves and stuff. I like to smell the bay leaves or whatever is available. I could have chosen so many different things here. So we're going to try and activate the senses for the next position. So I've got one of the strawberries from my garden. Yeah. So I can smell the strawberry. It smells like a strawberry. It smells very much like a strawberry, in fact. So we've activated the smell. Close my eyes again because we're always visually sort of looking at stuff.
Yeah.
So that's nice. I'm going to go for the taste, which is really, really, really nice. So we've got smell, taste. I can hear the birds. I don't know whether you can hear them or not. I've opened my eyes for sight. Yeah, I can hear the little goldfinches in the tree. So taste, smell, sight, hearing. I can touch. Let's have a bay leaf.
You just so happen to have bay leaves.
The bay leaf, right? I can touch. It's kind of a bit dry, but it's still aromatic. It's still so sweet and aromatic. In fact, it's almost menthol-like. It's brilliant, right? So we're going to go for the next one, the next phase. I'm having to do this really quick. I don't normally do this quick. So go back to your cross position. Your feet still there. Arms out. Get the leaves going around up to the sun. Right, now here comes the dramatic bit. We're going to go for the pentangle shape. Now, for me, this is quite powerful. It has quite an effect sometimes. Don't know, with you guys it might be different, but go from the cross, yeah? Move your feet out. Balance them nicely so you don't fall over. Raise your palms up to the sun. you head back and really connect. And what you're after is like a movement of energy between you out there, coming to the sun, into the soil. And if you really, really, really concentrate, in the middle of your palms here, you start to get a bit of a tingly sensation.
Yeah.
But normally I do this in silence because I know what I'm doing, so I'm kind of ruining the moment. If you do this, right, it's glorious. It's almost like I'm scooping in all the energy from that sun and connecting it and bringing it down into the soil. And all the negative energy is just draining away. And don't be frightened to, you know, really enjoy it, because what you put into this, you will get back. Just let the palms take it in. Have a good deep breath. And in the final phase, big deep breath, arms up, nice stretch. Breathe out and complete that circle around the end, around the edge, and then bring it back in to where you started and hold it in. Then open your eyes and let it go into the world. Now, if that don't make you feel good, right, I will never do a broadcast again. I'll tell you that. I'll never do a broadcast again.
Well, there is really no need for that, Garvo, because that was so good, and I felt it for sure. If anyone else has any other feedback about that, that was wonderful. Thank you. What a lovely gift.
Very eloquent.
Yeah, very eloquent. João has a comment there. Thank
it's
you
a bit
so
difficult
much.
because we had to rush from like over there over to and bring all the equipment. So sorry I'm a bit late, and it feels a bit rushed.
Terence on camera.
Yes, he's back there, so he is there. You can say hello. You'll shoot a shout back at him.
Lovely to see you. I'm back now. I don't know if Lord Gilchrist is saying he's back from where you took us there, or if he just had to go off and attend to something or other. Look at this. The other feedback. Thank you, Guru Gary. So the great Garvo is now Guru Gary, who may be setting up retreats and residentials in central Portugal at the great temple of Alvagra. Mate, that was superb. Absolutely brilliant. And I love how you drew on all sorts of influences. And it occurred to me that we are pentangles, aren't we? If we include our head and our limbs, we are a 5-pointed being.
That's it. When you are in that position, you are exalted, aren't you? You're in your most powerful position. You are head up to the sky, to the you know, and drawing on the feet planting into the soil. You couldn't go any better, really.
You couldn't. So thank you so much. I had no idea what you were going to do. I just trust you completely. So the floor was yours. Well, nature was yours to share with us, and you did it beautifully. So thank you very much. And we'll make a segment of that to share for our minds.
Everybody is watching. Just try it. Even if you go and hide yourself away somewhere, you can do it anywhere. You don't have to be outside. It's nicer outside. But on a beach, top of a mountain, in a forest, and me, try them. You could even do it indoors if you wanted to. The same thing is there, but the actual positions, and go into that. That's the big one for me. That is like, it's like somebody scored a goal. It's like,
yes. Well, it is a sort of consciousness score, isn't it? Really, really good. John, did you want to add something? I think we've got more names for Gary, possibly.
The great Gary Roo.
Gary Roo, the guru there. Typically you as well, if I may say so, a lovely grounding of what sometimes these spiritual concepts can seem a bit oggly-boggly, can't they, and off-putting. And you've done a brilliant job there in I think, marrying the ethereal with the earthly there. And that's you all over. That's you, your earth sign, and your ability to do that. How did this come together? Is it like trial and error over the last little while? And I think Portugal has some role to play in this, does it not?
You've took the words out of my mouth, absolutely. I mean, really, it's been there as a concept for a long, long time. As I say, I've discovered that probably 30 years ago, that little symbol. But maybe perhaps 2-3 years, especially over COVID, when the craziness is there and you're scared and, worried about stuff and people are arguing, this sort of thing can just bring you back into reality, and it can make you grounded and a more nicer person and more human person. And that's got to be good for everybody, isn't it, really?
Well, and especially if as you emphasised there, there's a connection between. It's not just, you're not just doing it for yourself, are you? Doing it to connect with others and to maybe make a net benefit of peace and tranquility and compassion on this blessed earth of ours.
Well, we live in hope, don't we? It's never going to be a perfect place, but we can do what we can to improve it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's a sentiment we can all gather around. So, cheers, mate, for that. We're gonna go out with the Iberian FM phone-in theme tune. We've got Andrew Bryant joining us tomorrow, talking about self-leadership, sovereignty, and managing conflict as well. So that'll be an interesting phone-in tomorrow. And so just remains for me to say thank you so much. Oh, tonight, actually, we've got the Invest in Portugal and Start a Business in Portugal and the Portugal Club from 10. But yeah, thank you so much. João de Norte, great job following on from some Tony time. A lovely trip to the Gerês where you could do what Gary's talked about and stand in the mountains of the Gerês. Can you imagine doing that there in the Peneda Gerês? And thank you, Gary, for suggesting this and delivering it to us. And as I say, we'll make a segment so people can follow it and be reminded of the steps that you so thoughtfully have put together there. Thank you so much,
Carl. What I'll do, Carl, if you want me to, the little, remember the paper thing that I sent you, the more detailed explanation?
Yes.
I can throw that in, so it put a bit more flesh on the bones, so to speak.
All right, fantastic. Great stuff. Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.